There was something known as the cult of sensibility in the 18th century, which refers to this movement, not just in Britain, but in fact throughout Europe, of celebrating feeling and sentiment. What it centers around is that in shared feelings of sympathy with our fellow men and women, there's something of great importance to understanding human nature and, as a result, understanding society and politics as well.
But those who embraced the cult of sensibility weren't always thinking of others. As British society became more sophisticated and social mobility increased, some people cynically recognised that displaying how deeply you felt was also a way of exhibiting something else.
Politeness is an 18th century ethos, ideal, which is spread quite widely through aspirational classes. For example, to be polite would be to be able to show feeling in response to the theatre, but not to go over the top. To show that balance, that moderation, which was the key to politeness. To shed a quiet tear, but to retain one's manly composure.
They are very good at suffering. That's what all the literature about women in this period says. Women are very good at maternal altruism, sacrificing themselves and suffering in silence. This is a very backhanded compliment, of course, to say to women, you're so great at suffering and having no power, please carry on doing it.
Mrs. Ellis urged the women of England to bear pain with cheerfulness and resignation, and to engage in moral work in a domestic setting. And this is clear from the titles of her best-selling books: Daughters of England, Wives of England, Mothers of England, and the works are full of words like influence, responsibility, and character. But Mrs. Ellis also recommends something key to the development of the psychology of the stiff upper lip in the decades to come. By the mastery of judgment over impulse, she, the ideal woman of England, will be able in time not only to appear calm, but really to feel so. What she's arguing is that by controlling their facial expressions, and consequently the feelings that give rise to them, her readers will be able to train their emotions and bury them so deep they don't even have to acknowledge them. That level of emotional reserve would later come to be seen as emotional repression, and once Freud started his work on the human psyche, would be considered to be potentially extremely damaging. The 1930s saw the Great Depression spread across the globe. The fervent rise of Nazism in Germany, with Britain in a quandary how to respond. And across the empire, discontent growing at British rule. But in response, instead of stiffening before the many challenges, Britain arguably loosened up and tried to have a good time.
Stiff upper lip, stout fella, carry on, old bean. Chin up, keep muddling through.
The national character in the 1930s, it did shift in subtle ways to become a bit more gentle, a bit more domesticated, inward-looking, and also more humorous. And that was the time that Gershwin wrote his song about the stiff upper lip, and it became kind of international symbol of a slightly silly Englishman who couldn't express his feelings but wanted to rule an empire.
Sober a blotto, this is the motto, keep muddling through.